Aloha and welcome back. So we got some more majority report. I guess they are my guilty pleasure right now. Is left versus right dead? Let's see what Sam and Emma got to say.
Calling from a 319 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Is this me?
Yes.
It's you.
Is this John from
Yeah,
San Antonio?
I'm calling from Iowa.
Okay. Who is it?
Jax from Iowa.
Jax from Iowa. You're, I think, going to be the final caller of the day. I'm sorry, folks. We went a little bit longer than the last one. We got a couple of clips I want to get to. All right. Jax from Iowa. Where? What? I'm confused.
Yeah, no, I'm calling from Iowa.
Okay, Jax from Iowa. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I recently watched a video on YouTube that said that political parties or the political spectrum doesn't matter because people on the right have some left-leaning views and people on the left have some right-leaning views. I don't think that argument is appropriate. He said that political spectrum, like left and right, is just a modern concept. And I just really don't agree with him. I wanted to get your thoughts on it because it's kind of I've been picking at my brain.
Well, I haven't seen the video. Look, there's always going to be overlapping, on specific issues, right? Like you can find, leftists who have a robust reading of the Second Amendment, I guess, and, right wing, and sometimes what happens is different ideologies will adopt certain positions that don't necessarily encumber their primary ideological aims, and therefore they find to be helpful in terms of elections. We see this on the right in this country quite a bit. The bottom line is they want to amass as much wealth as possible in the Republican Party, and they will throw some, culture warrior issues.
They want to amass as much wealth as possible in the Republican Party. Why would he say that? The Democrats do the same thing. Nancy Pelosi is the number one person making all the money off the insider trading and stuff. She's the number one person blocking the whatever bill was that was supposed to try to stop insider trading in Congress. It's just weird how they act like it's only the Republicans
into the fray, and that's the way they will do it. But I think broadly speaking, ideology matters. And I do think that like you can have populist strains in the right. I mean, right-wing populism certainly exists. It's authoritarian. It is very often at the expense of some type of other or outsider.
See, I don't look at that as real populism when you have like a single leader running the group and then it's at the behest or it's at the detriment to certain groups, right? Like populism is the populace. It's everybody, not just the chosen few. Because even if you, like Hitler, they are the National Socialist. A socialist includes everybody. If you're going to exclude people, that's not a socialist. That's like Hitler was a white supremacist, right? Or if it's another group, like if you're excluding white people and you're black, then you're like a black supremacist or whatever. But what he said,
very often at the expense of some type of other
it's
or
not
outsider.
If it's at the expense of people.
It either, expresses itself through nativism or xenophobia or racism. And generally that populism is limited to a specific group within society
True populism
who get
is
those
not
things.
limited.
Left-wing populism is more associated with like socialism, with broader emancipation, more democracy. But
see, he can say this and know this, but then he's going to push for the fascistic Democratic Party at any chance he can get.
That necessarily is both a means and an end within the context of left-wing ideology. So, I think more often than not, in a very nuanced, situation, you could say that. We've had Jeet here on to made the argument that, our politics have become.
I actually made a video on that, the Jeet here when he was on with them. I'll link it at the end of the video.
more about inside versus outside. And on some level, from an electoral standpoint, that is the case. But part of that is because the institutionalism that we've gotten from Democrats has been blind to what the institutions have been doing for an extended period of time.
Oh my gosh, it's not been blind, it's been complicit. Big difference.
And so there are certainly moments where I think there can be sort of like a blurring of the lines, but
these are the ones blurring the lines the most. People, centrists like this.
Beware of politics that are about anti-establishmentarianism, if you will, that are divorced from ideology, because once you throw out the boss, who becomes the next boss?
Exactly.
Not literally, is very, very important. And if you're not grounded in an ideology, that next boss could be very, very bad.
And also, establishment can be extremely fluidly defined, right? Donald Trump is a part of the establishment. Donald Trump is a rich guy that...
And this is the lady that said, she said, we're anti-establishment. I vote for Democrats. So now she's going to define establishment.
Has gamed the system over and over again to escape things like multiple bankruptcies, and he's come out on top because the rules are stacked in his favor. But he's not seen as establishment because he pisses off people in Washington. I would argue that he's a part of the establishment, but
totally
someone else making that argument may not make that argument.
But
and
so is
then
Kamala Harris
with
and Hillary Clinton and all the Democrats to vote blue no matter who you guys want to push. They're all establishment. AOC tried to act like she wasn't. Now she all baby bear to mama bear. Not pushing for forcing the vote to get universal health care for the people, which was before COVID, right? Or was it right after COVID? It was around COVID. Such stupidness.
What establishment is, if it's that fluid, because frankly it's just like a branding exercise to appeal to the broadest.
It's fluid because centrists like this push the fluidity. They break the terms, they break the words. They don't mean anything anymore. When you call yourself a leftist and you're just jocking for the Democrats, you're an establishment. You are not a leftist.
Audience, because it can be in anything, and we saw this with Jimmy Dore. The point is that you have to first have an ideology of like what you want to do when you get power, and then you can critique the establishment as we do. Like what our focus should be, I think, in terms of pushing the Democrats to the left and as leftists, like decommodifying the essentials of life. This is the kind of thing that I want to push forward in the next few years. Housing, healthcare, making it easier for people to have fulfilling, happy lives without being crushed by the...
This is the thing she wants to push forward in the next few years. Are you serious, lady? You guys only talk about the Democrats. You have a major platform. You talk to all these other supposed left-wing YouTube platforms, progressive platforms. Push the Green Party right now. If we got even one person in every state to win on the Green Party for, 2026. You know how much momentum that would show? I mean, I'm sure we'd get way more than one person in every state, but even if we just got one, in 2028, I'm sure we'd get another one, if not several then. But we need people like you who have a platform to start pushing people politics, not just talking. You just talk. You're full of shit. Pushing the Democrats. Why? Okay, let's see where they're going to get to by the end of this. Are they going to talk about the DSA, the Democrats, Green Party, Libertarians? Who are they going to push to do this progressive agenda that they're going to talk about? Left-wing
weight
agenda
of capitalism, and that is
anti-capitalism.
the focus. Not just like daddy is the weight of capitalism, and that housing, healthcare, making it easier for people to have fulfilling, happy lives without being crushed by the weight of capitalism.
And Democrats don't talk about none of that.
Focus, not just like daddy's daddy's
Both
pissing me off, so I'm going to rebel against him.
Both the Democrats and Republicans are very capitalist, and they will both tell you that they're very capitalist.
And get a nose piercing. Like, that's anti-establishment politics.
Well, let me just add a fine point to this.
And she's an anti-establishment, but she votes for the Democrats.
because we hear from people like, there's a duopoly, and yet there's an establishment within the different political parties,
so
right?
Jones Plantation,
there
remember,
are
guys?
people who are gatekeepers within both of these parties, but when people say like it's a duopoly, on some level, like there is definitely overlap in those two Venn diagrams. But where that overlap is with rich people.
Yes.
And corporations.
Who runs the parties? Is it rich people and corporations?
And so the idea that Donald Trump could say like, well, he may be against the establishment of the Republican Party, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why he contributed to both when he wasn't running as a candidate, and they were both giving him favors.
Right.
Is because money at the end of the day in our society is the establishment. That is where the power lies. Corporate and individual.
And so they were telling you to vote for Kamala Harris, the lady that brought in the most money ever, $1.5 billion during her 3-month election run or something?
Individual wealth is where the power lies in our society. And so you can have different parties with different establishments in them. There could be an establishment in local politics up in Poughkeepsie. But they're not the establishment that we have to worry about.
Right.
If you're in Poughkeepsie and you're trying to get into the local politics, yeah, you maybe the old boy network might be what you want to get into. But it is, like Emma says, it's not as much like it applies to the context, and what she's talking about is really important when you use that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it should be class politics, not partisan politics.
Did I answer that?
You did. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Also, left-right comes from the French Revolution, so I guess technically modern. I guess that's part of the
freedom fries. Freedom fries.
And speaking of the French Revolution, we have levels of income inequality that match that right now, the pre-French Revolution days. Just saw that the other day.
Yeah, left-right doesn't make as much sense to me as capitalist versus labor.
Joanne in Massachusetts
That's the same thing.
Ruling class. Okay.
Capitalists are the right, labor's the left.
To capital.
See, they're over here trying to break words and make it hard to communicate. Left. Are you for society that organizes for the people, through the people, about the people? Or right? Are you in a society that organizes through money, through capital, feeling that the invisible hand of capitalism will organize stuff, right? Like the Elon Musk, the high money earners, they'll organize, they'll do the John Galt, right? Atlas will shrug. But on the left, we want a central plan. We want to take into account everyone's needs, and then account for that and try to make a society like with, universal health care, universal education, easier access to food, housing, things like that, transportation. But the Democrats aren't about that. They haven't said anything about a left-wing solution yet. They just talk about the problem, but they don't have any real solutions. Any solutions.
Hey, folks.
So yeah, that was the end of that. So they don't have any solutions because they don't look at things from across the spectrum.